Hey, guys. Hey, you guys just feel free to go ahead and eat and enjoy all that chocolate cookie and all that great yummy chicken. I'm telling you, that was outstanding. Mine was really good. So thank you again to Sharp Top Cove. It's really great. So, uh, hey, again, thank you so much for being here tonight. We're blessed that you're here. And some people come here to Sharp Top Cove and they say, was this the Joy House? Well, it's not the Joy House. But what you just saw on the film was some of our campus, our boys' home, girls' home, where we minister with our teens that are in crisis. So we just kind of wanted to start it that way. But look, we're so glad you're here. We're about 20 years into this. Last year we celebrated our 20th anniversary. And the Joy House, our mission is providing Christ-centered restorative care for struggling teens, families, and individuals. And we do that two ways. We have a residential program for at-risk teens where we're working with their family toward reconciliation and healing. And then we have a Christian counseling center where we're providing Christian counseling. And that's not just for teenagers, that's for anybody. And so tonight, part of what you're going to learn is you're going to learn and hear some testimonies from each of those different pieces of our program and what we do. And I'm really excited about that. And as we thought about a theme for this year, transformed was a great theme because you know what? That's what we're celebrating, the transformation that Christ brings in lives because He is the one who heals. We're not the ones who heal. We're instruments in His hands to provide an opportunity for that healing to take place. And that's what we wanted to celebrate tonight. And along with that, in the celebration of seeing lives transformed, we also have some things to share with you. Obviously, our campus and ministry has transformed over the last 20 years. And we want to share some of that with you. And also, in the last year, we're in the process of building a brand new home for girls, which we're really excited about, and that is ongoing as we speak. And so we've got a little video snippet of showing about some of that progress that's being made, and we're really excited about that. Our theme verse was from Romans 12, talking about be ye not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And really, you know what, guys, in both our residential program, it's really an incarnational ministry where we're sharing Christ's love with these teens and families as they live there on campus. And then in our counseling center, it's sharing truth, sharing those truths that renew and transform the mind so that we can see transformation. And that's what we're all about. And we can't do that apart from a community of people who believe in us and love what we're doing. And we've been blessed to do that for these 20 plus years. And so what I really want to do now is we're going to present the counseling center first. And for anybody that's here, we launched a counseling center in 2012 through a very good friend of mine, Gary Barber. And Gary and I became friends here in the community, and he was a very gifted counselor. And he and I became friends, and God brought us together and gave us the idea. Gary was a really great counselor, and I had learned a little bit about fundraising at that point and leading a ministry. And I was worried about losing his gift in the community, and he and I began to talk about that. And as we did, God put on both of our hearts that maybe He meant to bring us together. So in 2012, we launched a counseling center for a lot of reasons, because what I realized after working with teens for, at that point then, 12 plus years, a lot of the problems we were seeing with these teens and families, they were showing up long before they were teenagers. And wouldn't it be a great thing if we could intervene before that, and maybe we could prevent them being taken out of their home or needing to go to a residential placement? The other thing I realized is that kind of once you swing north of Woodstock, there's not a lot of Christ-centered counseling. And so Gary and I talked about that and said, you know what, the Lord maybe could use us to step into that space and and fill that space here up the 515, 575 corridor. And we were blessed over the next 8 to 9 years. That's what God's done. And unfortunately, Gary lost a battle to cancer at the end of 2020. And we spent last year kind of doing some transition. But I'm delighted to share with you tonight, and I'm going to introduce her in just a minute, the young lady who she shared here last year, Abby Elam. Abby is now our director of counseling, and she's just doing a fantastic job with that ministry. and I'm going to bring her up in just a minute. But before I do, I wanted just to share a couple of practical things about the counseling center. And this is where Abby doesn't want anything to do with this. This is my engineering background. For those that didn't know, I got a Georgia Tech degree. That's what everybody does to go into ministry. It's a natural career path. So electrical engineering, 2 years of calculus, and then I work on people. So, but I can't get rid of that background, so I am a guy that I like to look at numbers and things sometimes. So Abby said, I asked her, I said, you want to do that or me? She said, you do that. I said, okay, I'll do that. So if you can bring up, there's a slide about the counseling center. It's got some stats on it. Whoop, nope. There we go, perfect. So last year we served 204 different individuals and families in our counseling center. 127 of those were new to us. We did 1,082 sessions. And I'll just say this, that was actually low because we were going through that transition. We usually are about 250. And I can tell you, and I think Abby will confess, that we're going to be back at that 250 this year. They've been as busy as they've ever been in the last couple of months. And then if you'll bring up that next slide, Jaden. So this just shows a little about who we serve, the counties. So if you'll see, blue is Pickens County, 41%. Cherokee County, 23%. Gilmer County, 16%. And then we've got unknown, which just means we didn't have their demographic information. And then the other category is other counties. So that makes sense because we have a counseling center in Jasper. We have an office in Cherokee County, and we have an office in LJ. So that's mainly the people that we counsel. And so what I'm really excited about now, Abby, if you want to make your way on up, Abby Elam is our director of counseling now, and she just is doing a fantastic job. Really delighted that me and her talked last year, and she decided that after she prayed about it, that would be the Lord's direction for her. So I'm really delighted that she stepped into that role, and she's doing a great job. And she's going to tell you a little bit more about the counseling center. And while she's starting to talk, I'm going to pull these chairs up because she's going to sit down and have a little interview with somebody in a minute.
Thank you so much, Steve, and thank you all for being here tonight. So first, I just want to tell you a little bit. Steve already mentioned the growth that we've had and the change that we've had, but we've also hired 2 new folks on our staff. So Catherine Bracher is with us now, and she has taken over doing all of the administrative piece. So that gets to be taken off of me, which I am so grateful for. She does all of our intake. So if you were to call or refer someone to us and you give them our number, Catherine is their first point of contact. She's going to make them feel heard, cared for, and she's going to move forward with doing scheduling with any one of our counselors. And so we really can't do what we do without Catherine. She kind of holds everything together for us. And then we also have a new counselor. Her name is Heather McGinty, and she just recently finished her degree in marriage and family therapy, and she has just joined us. She's just with us a couple days a week. We'd love to have her full-time when she's ready, but she is wonderful, and we've gotten great feedback already with just what kind of amazing counselor that she is. So we're really grateful to have both of them on our team. We hope to continue to grow in that area. The next thing is, I think there's a common misconception that we have here at the Joy House. When people hear about our community counseling center, if they know about the residential program first, they assume that we only counsel teens and families. And so I will go ahead and say that's not true. That is part of what we do. But we would say if we're being God-led, then any age and any issue is free to walk through the door, and we will see how the Lord leads to heal and to help. And so y'all were talking depression, anxiety, grief, yes, marriage and families. So many different topics. If you identity issues, if you think of it, we're going through it with folks. And so I have found myself saying a lot, probably in the last 6 months. At the end of the day, we're all wondering, who am I? Whose am I? And why does it matter? And that's what people pick the topic of their struggle. At the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We are identifying who are you, whose are you, and why do you matter? And so that's who we are. That's what we want people to know about us. as a counseling center, and we're going to serve the best way we can. So another piece is that makes us unique. I think there's two really particular things outside of being Christ-centered that makes us unique as a counseling center. And one is finances. So we are, from the start, we're never going to turn anyone away for the inability to pay. So obviously, it costs us a certain amount hourly in order to operate our counseling center, but we don't bill or require that of anyone. We tell them up front. We do ask them to financially invest in their time. But there are plenty of folks in this community that what is holding them back is that they can't afford it. Y'all, private counseling is expensive. We're talking $150 an hour, and folks just can't get the help they need because they can't afford it. And we're saying, get yourself in the door. Let us help. We'll help you figure out the finances. And so that's what's really beautiful and unique about who we are. We are never going to let money stand in the way of the Lord's healing. And so with that being said, the next piece that is really unique to us, and this is something Gary coined years ago, is he told us that our clients are not just our clients, they're our friends. We build relationships. We let them in on pieces of our own story. We're not afraid to self-disclose if it builds connection and allows someone to feel like they are a part of something. And so we have the honor tonight to have a client, or my friend, Jessica. Jessica, if you want to come on up. Jessica's going to come sit, and we're going to chat for a little bit, and you guys are going to get to hear how she has gotten to, what her experience has been like in counseling with the Joy House. So a fun fact here with Jessica as well is that she was actually originally counseled by Gary. And over the last few years, I have had the privilege to get and sit and get to know her as well. So what we're going to do next is we're just going to sit and chat, and you're going to get to hear from her what her personal experience has been like.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here.
Okay, so Jessica, I would love to just hear straight out of the gate, what is it that brought you to the Joy House? What led you to seek counseling?
Yeah, so several years ago, my husband and I were, I think, a year or two into our marriage, and we began fostering with another foundation called Goshen Valley. I'm sure you guys are familiar with them. And through a lot of the support that they provide, they made this resource known to foster parents as well as everybody that volunteers there, and just said, hey, this is a great community partnership, and if there's ever a need for this, get connected with them. And so that's when I got plugged in with Gary, and it was really just a need to, I'm a talker, I like to talk, and I like to process things externally, and just had a lot going on in that season, and thought it would be good to just have someone to talk to and get some sound advice from. So that's what brought me to the Joy House.
Okay, great. Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about what your experience has been like? I know you've had two different counselors. We are not the same, but I just would love for you to share ups and downs, just what that has looked like to be able to utilize the counseling center here.
Yes. I will say, and I tell all my friends and family this, counseling has changed my life. It has been something that has been so impactful for someone that, again, processes things externally. I didn't realize until I went to counseling how much of that I was just seeking in my relationships from others. And having a place to go on a regular basis and get grounded back in my faith, what the Word of God says about the situation, what the character of God is about this situation, has just been incredible in my life. Again, I tell everyone I meet, you should go to counseling. I think everyone in this room should go to counseling. I think everyone in the whole world should go to counseling. I was definitely one of those people. I wouldn't say there was ever really anything. I think a big misconception about counseling is that you had to have had something crazy or traumatic happen to you to go to counseling. And I haven't been blessed to not have anything super crazy, if you will, but we all have things that are crazy and tough and challenging. And so you don't have to have something crazy to happen. Just go to counseling. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. You tell me that all the time, like when we're meeting, and I love it. I get it every time. So another thing I'm wondering is, how has coming and committing to counseling and committing to like regular health for yourself, how has that affected your relationships with others?
Yeah, so this is huge. So another thing I say, Abby and I talk about a lot is, you can't expect to be an Olympic athlete if you don't exercise and eat healthy. Well, the same thing is true for our mind, but we don't treat it like that. We don't take care of our mental health like we should as a society. And so we can't expect to be in a great place mentally if we're not putting in that effort. So the commitment, like you said, making time in my schedule for that has been just huge. And the perspective that brings, just having a complete third party, somebody that's not involved with my family, my circle of influence, I can really just bring everything and talk through what I'm going through in my mind. It's been tremendous. And there have been so many moments. We had one just today where I brought something to the table and I was like, I just don't understand like what to do here. And Abby just was able to provide a completely different perspective that I would have never thought of. And that's what I love is I love just the perspective that having somebody like Abby and Gary brings to the table, and helps me kind of, again, just get grounded.
Yeah, so I will share something that you spoke to me, it's been probably months ago now, but as a counselor, selfishly, it's like something I will hold on to that I don't think counselors get to, people aren't always this transparent in this way. But several months ago, towards the end of a session, you leaned up and you said, I just need you to know. I don't know if you remember that you said this. You said, I just need you to know the effect that you're having on my whole family. You said, what we're doing here is having a ripple effect. She said, you are making my family healthier, and you're making my husband's family healthier, and you are making the family we're building together better. And counselors don't have people say that to, like, it's helpful, but it's like, that's not something you hear in the day-to-day. And it's something that I've written down as an encouragement of like, that's not me, that is the Lord. The Lord is having a ripple effect through this ministry. And so to have someone in the middle of a session feel like they need to say that is just really beautiful. And it's something I will hold on to with so much gratitude from you. And so one, I think, final question I would love to hear from you is just, what is something that you wish, like you have the floor tonight, what do you want people to know? What is something that you feel like you want to say and you want people to hear when it comes to the counseling center, counseling, who we are, whatever, something you've learned, anything?
Go to counseling. I just cannot, you ask any friend, family member in my circle, I am just a huge cheerleader for this because it's impacted my life so much. And there are so many misconceptions, I think, around mental health in general in today's society, but with counseling specifically, if you've never been to counseling, you may think, okay, well, I'm going to walk into this medical setting and there's going to be a couch and I'm going to lay down and put my feet up and talk about my feelings, and that's not how it is.
There are couches.
But but it is, like Abby was saying, we're friends. It's very much a friendship, and we're doing life together, and we get to share in these struggles together, and it's not what you think it is, and just give it a try. And even if you don't feel like you maybe need to go to counseling, we all, like I said, we all have so many things going on in our lives. It's just the society we live in, we feed off of the busy. So being able to take a moment and turn off your phone and just work on your mind, it's changed my life, and I encourage you to do the same.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here and being willing. Honestly, obviously, she seems great with doing this, but y'all, it takes vulnerability. It takes a willingness to come up and say, yeah, I'm in counseling and I'm working on these things, and now you know it about me, right? The fact that she would come up and do this, it's an honor to have her. So we're going to exit. Steve has a video that he wants you to watch, but as we leave, okay. It's 2 videos, but if you guys wouldn't mind, let's give her a round of applause before we go.
Jessica, thank you so much. Thank you. So that's just a little bit of the transformation that's happened in our campus over the years. And then the last piece was just the new girls' home. But, hey, let me just, before we move on from the counseling center, just say, Jessica, thank you so much for being willing. That's the first time in 8 years of doing the counseling center we've ever had a live testimony, because it is so private sometimes and people are not willing to disclose that. So thank you so much for blessing us with that. And then,
Yes. So I missed one thing as Steve was saying this. I think in his steadfastness, I somehow forgot him. Bill Wattenbarger has always been with us. He is still with us, and I do not want him to be forgotten. He is in this room tonight. He is as loyal and as true as they come, and we are grateful for him. So, Bill, I'm sorry that I forgot. I don't know where you're at.
We're there, he's back there.
Love you. Love you. I'm so sorry.
I was going to catch you, Abby. Hey, I've done it before. I've done this for 20 years. There's always somebody I left out. But we're grateful for Bill. Bill's our male counselor. He's been with us for several years. Does a great job. So we're great. So we have Heather, Bill and Abby, who are counseling. And you know what, guys? One of the things you can pray for us, we're looking to add another male counselor as God brings along somebody who's a good fit for us, because the capacity continues to build, and there's people seeking counseling. And I can't tell you how many times it's really funny for me, because people think I'm the director. They like I know everybody that comes there, and I don't. It's really funny. Like me and my daughter, we went to this. We went to this livestock show. She shows cows. So we went down to Perry, Georgia, and we're down there this weekend. And I come back home, and there's this young lady that she's befriended, and I get back home, and Abby said, she told my daughter while we were down there, said, "Oh, I go to counseling at the Joy House." I didn't even know it. I come back home, and Abby told me, and I was like, I didn't know. That's great. Awesome. People come up to me and say, "Man, Abby was so great." And I'm like, "Oh, that's great. I'm glad you're going to counseling." And I mean, I don't know, but I can't tell you how many times somebody in the community reaches out to me and tells me, just as they did with Gary, they tell me with Abby or Heather, somebody they're seeing, what a great job they do. So we're blessed to have some people who really love the Lord, who love people, and invest in them through the counseling center. So I'm really grateful for them. So I'm here to talk to you now about the residential program. That's the other side of the ministry. It's how the Joy House originally began 20 plus years ago, is through working with teens and families. And that grew out of a passion for me working in youth ministry in a local church. And God just led me into that because He kept sending me these broken teenagers that had these broken families, and they were hurting. And me and the couple that founded the ministry with me, we wound up having kids in and out of our house for various reasons. And if some of you, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but a young man came to live with me in 1997. He was 15, and I watched God transform his life. And he's went on to be a great man of his own. He's 40 now, has his own family. I remember him crying one night when he was 19 in high school. He'd had a bad experience on the football field, and justly so. I think some things had not gone right, and maybe he hadn't been treated exactly right. But I told him, and I remember his 16th birthday when his mom, his biological mom, didn't even call him that day. And I told him, I said, "Look," I said, "here's the deal." I said, "You are defining a new legacy for your family. It starts with you. You're going to define a whole new legacy." And you know what the beauty of it is now? I'm 20 years down the road from that, and he's done that. He's a great father. He's a great husband. He's got 2 daughters that are almost teenagers that he's a great dad to. And so that was what Genesis part of the Joy House for me. And so we've tried to take that over the years and share that with families, because here's just like Abby said, the ripple effect. We're not just impacting a family, we're impacting a generation. I've lived to watch him now. He's going to impact his whole family line after him, because it's different for him. And so that's what our hope is as we work with these teens and families, is that's what happens. So just real briefly, there's 3 key parts of the residential program. There's home life, where they live in a home with a mature Christian couple. And tonight, y'all just stick up your hands. We have our 2 house parents here, the Elsies and the Allens. There's the Allens, the Elsies are back there. They are our house parents in our girls' homes, and they are critical to what we do. They are the ones that's building the day-to-day love, structure, nurture, relationships with these teens. They try to make it as much like a normal home as possible with that many teenagers. And so that's a really important part of the ministry. They're the boots on the ground. And then the second part of the ministry, we have our own accredited school. All of the kids who are in the residential program go to school on campus. And out in this room tonight, I just Miss Robin, Mr. Ron, Miss Lee, Miss Kathy, Miss Nancy are all here. Y'all stick up your hand. These are folks that work with our kids in their school every day. And that's a really important part of the program, but for a couple of reasons. A lot of times they're behind in school because of their behaviors and things that have happened. And also they're picking up a lot of noise sometimes at school. So having our own school allows us to kind of shut off the noise while we can focus on healing for them and their families. And I'm a big public school fan. My kids go to public school. But as I've shared this, the public school is where a lot of these families are showing up at, and they're bringing their problems to school with them. So we've made a real effort to reach out to partner with public school systems, their social workers and stuff, to make them aware of what we're doing. And most of them are really delighted, because one of the important parts of our program is we're not only taking the kid, we're taking the family. And and that's a thing that's unique about the Joy House, is we realize this is not just a kid issue, it's a family issue. And so we're going to work with the family. And what that means is the family's involved, and they're involved in counseling themselves. They're involved in a parenting class that happens on campus every week. And while we're on the therapy part of it, our director of therapy, Mr. Darren Lane, is sitting right here. Darren, he essentially is the lead of the residential program. He's been with me for 14 years, just does a phenomenal job. He never wants any spotlight. He never wants to be out in front of people, but he's one of the wisest guys I know. And he's so good with families that we work with and does a great job. And then some of the other parts of the team where I don't forget them, Miss Pam is back here in the back, and Miss Marilee right here. They both help with some intake as they talk to families as they're coming into the program. They're an important part of that residential program, along with some other duties they do. But that therapy piece, we're working with the teen and the family. Our whole goal is to get them back home with the issues resolved so that they can be successful. And so it's about a 12 to 18-month process. And the whole team works together, the school, the house parents, and the therapy team, along with the parents. And our kids go home every other weekend. That's to give our staff time off, but also it's to get feedback on what's happening at home. I used to tell kids, hey, this is practice while you're here. The real game's at home. And so we want to get feedback about what's happening at home, and we're constantly working through that and working through the issues that they're having as we go through the program. And so that's the three parts of the program. There's not really a magic bullet. We're trusting God to work in their lives as we share with them and as we love them. And the other important part, people ask, how do they get there? Well, there's all the exhibiting behaviors, stuff like maybe they're suspended in school, they're failing in school, behavior at school, they're getting kicked out of school, they're running away from home, sexual promiscuity, pornography, sexting, texting, addicted to video games, all of those things. Can't get off the video game. That's one side of the spectrum. Other side of the spectrum, anxiety, depression, doesn't want to go to school, suicidal ideation. Those are some of the things. Those are what I call all the exhibiting behaviors. But what I've learned is, I get to it in just a minute, underneath all that, there's a common denominator after 20 years, and I'm going to show that to you in just a minute. But one thing I wanted to do practically is, Jaden, if you can bring up those slides, I want you to show we're a regional ministry. This shows everything that's colored purple or pink in that map represents a county that we've served a family from. That's 19 different counties in the last 5 years. And then the green things I have colored in shows our service area, because we've served families from there in the past. And if you'll note, Cherokee County is red in the center, and the reason is because we serve more families from Cherokee County than any other county that we serve, right on our border. And then the other pink ones are our top 5 counties. Matter of fact, if you'll bring up that next slide, Jaden, you'll see Cherokee County, 25% of the kids we served in the last 5 years were from Cherokee. And then we got Pickens, Hall, Gilmer, Cobb. So what I want you to see is we're a regional ministry. And as I shared with you a minute ago, if you'll bring up the next slide, the pie. So I started doing something a few years ago. I wanted to look at family structure. And I looked at 5 categories: natural family, blended family, single parent family, grandparents, and adoptive family. And if you'll look here, this is the last 5 years of our program through 2021. What you'll see at the top, you see 12%. Or 13%. That's constantly held every time I've checked this. Only 12% of the kids that we deal with are in their natural family. So what that means is 88% have a broken family in some sort. Mom or dad, one is out of the picture. And guys, that is the common theme that's underneath everything we do. A broken family in the background. And listen, I know those happens for different reasons. Sometimes they're beyond our control. But the Lord meant for us to have a mom and a dad. That's the way He designed things. And He is the only one who can heal that. So a lot of times what we're doing is we're trying to bring healing to that broken situation. And we're trying to introduce them to their Father God and someone who loves them and who can move them past that pain. So when Abby said a minute ago, and Jessica said this, I love this, because listen, we need to be all about strengthening families. I know there's pastors in here, and most of you are in a church. When I go out and speak to churches, I tell them the most important thing you can do is strengthen marriages and families. Because if we can keep the family together and a kid has a stable, loving home, we can eliminate a lot of problems. And so I just want to encourage you. And the other thing I'd encourage you and challenge you about is every one of us around of us, we're around kids every day that are out of a broken family. They're part of our friends network or whatever. Listen, what if God wants you to step into that kid's life and make a difference in their life and love them and encourage them? They're looking for people like that. That's what they need. There needs to be somebody that steps in. And so I just want to encourage you. Open your eyes to see what's around you. And that's what we're doing at the Joy House every day, is we're stepping into some of those situations. We're being a mediator for the Lord in the midst of those families to see them find healing. So that gives a picture of what we do real briefly. Kids come from all around. We serve 12 to 17 as our age range in the residential program. Right now we're going to have 2 girls' homes, and we're going to have a boys' home. Right now, we temporarily opened our boys' home as a girls' home because we were having more need for girls. And when we get this new girls' home complete, which hopefully is going to be in August, then we're going to move our girls into it, and we're going to reopen the boys' home. So we can serve up to 7 kids in each home. So when we get 3 homes going, we'll be able to serve about anywhere from 15 to 21 kids, whereas right now we can serve about 10 to 14. So that's kind of the capacity that we're able to do. And so tonight, just as we had a testimony from the counseling center, we always have one of our families come share, and we're grateful to have, where is Rose at? Rose, come on up here. So Rose and her dad, David, are going to come up, and they're going to share a little bit of their story. Rose has been with us for a little bit, and she's getting very near the end of the program. And so I think, Dave, if you want to come up with her, and you guys, I'll just give you the mic, and Rose can share her story, and then maybe Dave can share his perspective as a parent. And Taylor's going to give me another microphone here, so y'all both have one. All right? So I'm just going to turn it over to you guys.
Is this on? Oh. I came to the Joy House when I was 16, I think. It's a couple months after my 16th birthday. And I was one of those kids that were, like, really sporty. And, like, I had to have something, like, to do, or I would go crazy. And I make friends really easily, so I started getting into the wrong crowd. You know, the way I show love to people is like I always want to be there for them, and I don't always see the right way people treat people. So I struggle with that a lot, and I was really, like, struggling inside that no one really knew. Like, I didn't even know about myself that, like, I came from Haiti, and so I was struggling with the adoption process because I was at a young age, I didn't really comprehend it. And so as I started getting older and seeing my friends with their biological parents, I started feeling like the pain of it. So I started struggling with it. And I guess when my freshman year, I started, like, unraveling, as some people might say. Where's Miss Robin? Unraveling. And I didn't know how to handle it, I guess. Sorry. So I had to learn how to, like, process it without, like, showing my emotions to people, because that's not a thing I do. I don't show my emotions because in my heart it was like a sign of weakness. And I was always like that strong person where I had to be happy for everybody. I didn't want anybody to hurt because I didn't want them to feel my pain. So, sorry, when quarantine happened, I was stuck at home. You know, it was just a new thing for me. I didn't, like, know what was going to happen, you know. And all of a sudden, I remember one night we were like watching Jumanji, like and I was laughing so hard with Kevin Hart. You know, he's like my face. And I was just like, I was laying in my little air mattress, and nothing was happening. You know, I was trying to answer text messages from my friends and stuff, and I go into bed, and all of a sudden, like, I close my eyes, I'm going to sleep, and I have an anxiety attack, and I've never had one, you know, because I was never anxious about anything, and I started going crazy. Like, I literally told my parents that I was gonna die, and I was like looking up symptoms of like every disease I could think of. It was, and my mom came in my bedroom because I was just a whole mess. And she was like, just pray, Rose, just pray. And at the time, that's not a thing I wanted to hear. Like, I just did not want to hear that. Like, you know, I thought she was going to lay in my bed with me and just sleep there because I didn't want to be alone. And so I ignored it because it's like, in my heart, going through all the trauma I had with like my birth mom and the earthquake and stuff, I was like, why would I pray? Because why would I pray to someone that put me through all the pain already? So I learned, basically, when that happened, I just learned to shut myself out. Like, it was not an option for me. And so I started getting into bad relationships. My friends would tell me to do things I didn't want to do. Like, I knew I didn't want to do them, but I don't want to disappoint anybody. It's just my character. And my old therapist told me that I was blind. And I was like, I'm not blind. Like, I'm not blind. I can see perfectly fine. But I didn't know I was blind at the time. And one day, my parents told me, come on, Rose, we got to go. And I'm like, where are we going? And they're like, you're going to an interview, but you're going shopping, too. We're going to go shopping. And I'm like, okay. Like, I was ready to go shopping. I love shopping. And so, it's just, and then so I got in the car after a whole fight about it. And we were driving up here, and I was like, dang, it's going to be a long drive for you every day. Like, you're going to waste gas or stuff. So I got to the interview, right? And I was like, what is this place? Like, what is this? And I think the first person I looked at was Miss Robin for some reason. I was like, why does she look familiar to me? And so I got to the interview process, and I'm one of those people, I'll tell you straight up. I'll tell you, yeah, this is what I'm going through. It's like, I ain't coming here. I told them I'm not coming here, so you're wasting your time. And I end up coming here. Like, okay. And I remember the day I was supposed to come, there was this one police officer, because I just would not get in the car. There was one police officer that sat down with me. We were talking about my gymnastics and how I was tired and everything was crumbling and I didn't know what to do. And he was like, do you want to go? And I was like, no, I don't. He's like, are you going to like it? I was like, I don't know, I'm not going to like it. And he's like, how do you know you're not going to like it if you don't try it? So I was like, fine, I'll try it. And he was like, if this happens again, I won't make you go. Guess what? It didn't happen again. I ended up liking it. I was like, so this place is not bad, but this place wasn't bad. But yeah, I honestly, like, this place has been one of the best things that could happen in a kid's life, because honestly, I don't know where I would be. Like in school, I would not do anything in school. I hated school. I didn't even want to go to school because I had so much on my plate with sports, and there's no way I was going to do it. And I remember the day I came, I told Miss Robin, I can't read. That's the one thing I cannot read. I'm the worst reader. And she's like, we're going to get you to read. And I'm learning. And my grades were awful. When I tell you they're awful, like, public school passed me when I didn't even do anything. And I remember one time I got so mad at Mr. Ron and Miss Robin. I sat at my desk for 3 days, and I didn't do anything. And I was like, Miss Robin, I cannot do this. Because I kept getting scoring violations, and I didn't understand. I wasn't passing tests. And then one day, me and Miss Robin had a deep conversation, and I was like, I'm just going to try. And so I did. And I was struggling with math. But the school here makes you feel comfortable with it. Like, even though I was struggling, I knew I could not do it in my heart. I had to push it because Miss Robin wanted me to do it. The teachers wanted me to do it. And so I had to do it for them. And then somewhere around the way, I started doing it for me. I started passing my test. I started understanding. I finished my math pace. That was the first pace I finished, and I was terrible at math. And I just finished my English pace today, and English is not my first language. Not. It's not. And, I took French in high school, and I failed French. And I'm like, I spoke French. I'm like, what? I spoke French, and I failed it. I was just like, all right, And Mr. Darren, I remember the first day I told him, I was like, you can ask me anything. I will tell you. And I said that I remember one of my quotes is, I wanted parents. Because I felt like in the house I didn't have parents. I had to parent myself. And it's gotten a lot better. I would say that, because I would never let anybody open up. I didn't open up to anybody because my mom wasn't the best mom, and I had to take care of myself at a young age. So I was struggling, and I could not find a connection with anybody. Like my old therapist, she had to bribe me to open up to her. She would give me juice boxes because I'm secretly 3. And I'm secretly 3, as people like to tell me. So I'd juice boxes. And even then, I wouldn't open up to her. And Mr. Dune has been the first counselor I literally could say I trust. Because the staff make you feel like you're a person and not just a patient, And it's hard to find people like that. They'll just treat you like you're human, and everybody goes through things, just you go through a little more than others. And I really appreciate Mr. Dan for that. The house. I am a diva. I will tell you straight up, I am the worst diva ever. When I first came to the Joy House, Miss Casey, my previous housemate, she was like, okay, Rose, you're on kitchen duty. I literally looked at her like she was crazy. I'm like, I am not touching these dishes. So I would literally find gloves, and I would not touch those dishes. So I would wash the dishes with my gloves, and I would wash them, and I just would not touch those dishes. And it's like sweeping. I was like, oh, no. This is not it. And so I've learned to do chores, things that I've never done in my life. And now I can honestly say that I'm an actual teenager now, And they've really helped me with life skills that I didn't know I needed at the time. At home, I cook. Like, that's just one of my, like, I cook a lot. Like, my mom said that one time she was going to get mad because he was about to buy me a cookbook, but I have like 15 of them. And so she's like, if he bought you one, he would be in so much trouble. And I was like, and I remember this one story. Miss Jen and I were cooking in the kitchen. Like, I always cooked with her when she first came, and I still do now. And she would, like, cook, and she would put ingredients in there I've never seen in, like, food that I'm regular with, but I've never seen them. And I was like, are you sure that goes in there? And she's like, yes, Rose. I'm like, okay. And she's like, you'll like it, I promise. And I was like, okay. So I started learning how to trust her when she cooked. And she was like, I'm this person, I'm so interested in everything. So I would try to eat the raw food. Each raw food she would chop up, I would just take it. She's like, Rose, you can't eat that. You can't. And I was like, oh, okay. And it's like, but she was always right. Like, I was get salmonella. Get salmonella or something. But just being in the house, like, seeing the love they have for each other, and, like, the love that the girls, like, past girls and now have for each, like, for them is, like, a great environment, you know, because some houses struggle with that. And, like, I can honestly say the Joy House staff make you feel comfortable as possible, but they'll be firm with you, but they're not going to give up on you. Like, I've learned that they're not going to give up, even though so many times I've tried. I've tried to get on their nerves. I tried. Like, but they really do have the love for them, for all these girls. And I've made great friendships, like Joy's over there, and Eden's back there. And these girls are like, I don't know how to say it. It's like, they're girls I would never hang out with, like, outside before, like, I came here. There was just I was always with the athletes, so I've never really expanded my horizons. But ever since I've gone here, I've learned to, like, accept people as who they are, because I was just in that one circle, so I never got to know other people. So that's one thing I love about the Joy House. It's not just one particular group. It's everybody. So you get to know everybody's character, and you get to, like, I remember Mr. Seth told me that you're not always going to like who you work with, because I'm like, I don't like them, but you're not always going to like who you work with, but you're going to have to accept them. So I've learned to accept a lot of people here. So the Joy House has helped me tremendously. And to be honest, I don't even know what I'm going to do when I get out. I just turned 18. I have a senior year coming up. So what I'm looking for is just using my skills I've learned here in each challenges I have. So.
So Rose kind of explained how we got here. But, she said how she didn't feel like she had parents. She didn't know what to do. She was shut down, anxiety attack. COVID uncovered a lot of the structure we had that was covering up dysfunction in our family, right? We had structure at school, we had structure at sports, and I had structure at my job. But COVID blew all that away and exposed what was going on. So imagine me as a parent. I was trying to discipline Rose, help her, but she was drawing back too. And so I reverted back to a stronger authority. I'm going to take my stand. I'm dad. You're going to do it my way. We're going to do the standards. And it just drove her further away. And we had less and less communication. It's kind of how we got here. So It's not just about the kids, as Steve was saying, it's about the whole family. So there's a part that the parents do too. And so we come up and we go to parenting group. Mr. D encourages us. And it calls us to reflect on ourselves. What are we doing? And he introduced a family systems theory. And look, I've been a Christian. I've been in church leadership for a long, long time. I'm not unaware. I've even successfully counseled people out of that. But then it's like, oh, you know what? You are knee deep in this. Then I got a communication one day from Mr. D, and he commented that Rose had mentioned she saw a change at home. And that gave me encouragement because I had realized all I'm doing is causing her to have another emotional reaction and trigger me to another one and to get louder. And it was just a vicious cycle with nothing constructive happening at all. So after I heard that she felt something had changed, it really gave me encouragement to make sure, what am I doing? What are my actions? What are my words? And to get really to see the root. So where are we at today? I don't think we enter into that cycle of constantly triggering emotional outburst. You know, we don't. Do we agree all the time? Absolutely not.
No.
Do we even feel like the other truly understands how we feel and what we're communicating? You know, we're still growing in that. But we're able to communicate and move forward without inflicting damage on each other. And personally for me, the Joy House has enabled me to further give to God things that I cannot control. You know, he's doing that for all of us, but it's really helped me. And those things that concern me the most, instead of trying to fix it myself, let me first take it to the cross. You know, after 55 years of life, you would think you would already know that, but there's some more that you can learn. And then, you know, today we're in a world that there's a lot of external things coming against our families and our marriages and our kids, and how are we going to deal with those? And I was reminded, you know, John 16:33, Jesus said, in this world you will have trouble. But take heart, I've overcome the world. So the Joy House has helped me enter into that peace. Because part of that verse, he says, you know, I've overcome. So in me, you can have peace, even though in the world you're having trouble. So is it a fix for everything? No. But you go closer to Christ and walk in his peace so we can get through the trouble that does exist. And I'm looking forward to seeing Rose move on into a mature adult and accomplish some fantastic things. And I'm so proud of her. You did so good tonight. Thank you.
All right. Guys, thank you. Thank you so much. We got like 5 minutes to finish, guys. So thank you, Rose and Dave, for sharing your story. Rose is a lot of fun. I always enjoy when she pops in my office. She's like a ray of sunshine. But we're grateful. We're excited about what God's doing with her and appreciate her sharing tonight. Guys, listen, your people's investment in the Joy House, it's an investment in seeing lives changed. That's what we're seeing here tonight. The return on investment has changed lives. Just as Abby mentioned with the counseling center, with our residential program, we never reject a family for money. Money will never be a consideration on whether you get in or not. Matter of fact, we don't even talk about it until we made a decision if we think we can help. And then we work with the family to set a price that they can afford. And the only way we're able to do that is because we've got people who believe in what we're doing. What families pay never makes up more than like 15% of our total operations. The other 85% comes from people, individuals, churches, foundations, people that believe in what we're doing. So I want to mention just a couple of special things to you tonight while we're in this room. We're trying to finish up this house, and as you can imagine, we don't go in debt for anything. We're a debt-free ministry, so we raised the money for that house. But when we started raising money for that house, I accounted for some modest inflation, but nothing like what we're experiencing now. So, hey, we've been blessed. There's some people in this room that have made some major donations to get this house where it's at. But we're still looking for partners as we go along to finish up. So I'm going to mention this tonight because I never know who's here. But let me just mention a couple things. We're looking for people that if you've got a connection on materials that we could get donated or reduced, metal roofing, sheetrock, insulation, flooring, countertops, lighting, gutters, underdecking. If you got a connection on any of those things, on this form that I'm going to tell you about in a minute, if you'd write me a note on there, that would be awesome because we're looking for some other people that can help us cut some costs as we continue to move along to make sure that we get that home built. So if you've got a connection in that regard, please let me know that. And now on your table in your program is a pledge form. And guys, tonight, I would just ask you to consider, would the Lord have me invest something in this ministry to see lives continue to change? And that form's on there. We're also, they'll put up here, if you don't want to do a check, we also got availability for you to text to give. And inside your program, there's a QR code you can scan, or you can text a certain number, give, and you can give online. But I just ask you to consider that. But that's not the only thing I'd have you consider. There's other ways to partner. I've got several things listed on there. And one of them I want to mention is, or one particular one I want to mention is, I've got a lot of pickleball friends in here tonight. I'm a pickleball addict, okay? But, yeah, there we go. They're in the house. So last year, for the first time ever, we did a pickleball tournament and fundraiser, and it was a great success. And this year, we're going to do one bigger and better. It's going to be a 2-day event, and we're going to be looking for some sponsors for that. So there's a checkbox on there. If that's something you're interested in, please check that box. There's also things to check about if you'd like to partner with us to do a food drive for us, or some kind of items that we use a lot of. If you'd like to do projects on our campus, if you're interested in tutoring, there's several different ways you can partner with us. So I just ask you to take a look at those. So listen, thank you so much for being here tonight. I want to mention up here at the front, there are brochures and stuff. Please, if you'd like to have some of those as you go out, pick those up. And then we're going to show a little video of the kids about the residential program. And while that's showing, if you just consider if the Lord would have you give something. And when you're done, on your table is an envelope. If you would put that form and your check in that table, in that envelope, and just leave it on the table, and we'll pick those up at the end. And as I go, I'm going to hopefully catch some of you as you leave. I think my brother Dave, when the video's over, if you'll come up and do a benediction. Dave's one of my board members. And let me just say, guys, thank you for taking time to be here tonight and come and find out about the Joy House. And please check that box, find a way to partner with us, and we'll be blessed for it. We can't do this without you. So thank you so much for being here this evening. And so just consider what the Lord might have you do as we play this video.
right. Thank you for being here. This ministry certainly has touched many lives, including that of myself and my family. We were part of the residential program back in 2017, early that year. So my daughter was in that program for a year and a half, and we were blessed not just by the staff and the ministry at the Joy House, but also by those who provided financial and spiritual support. So we are very grateful for that. And to that end, we will close out here, and join me in prayer. Dear God, we thank you for this evening. We come to you as a humble and needy people. We recognize your hand in all that has gone on in these Joy House programs. We thank you for this evening together, for the staff and for the team, for the counselors, and for those that support them. And we thank you for those who come here as donations of their time and their prayers and their finances. We ask that you continue your protection and your blessings upon these programs. Give strength and give endurance to those on the front lines, and to keep this ministry on the fronts of our minds and our hearts. And God, please impart wisdom to the leadership here. We pray that this new home being built, that you fill it and bring families and individuals here who can be blessed by those here serving in your name. Keep us safe on our trip home. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Hey, guys, just know if you need to be shuttled back, we'll have the vans running. Yeah, oh, the crosses. Thank you. Hey, Marilee. So on your table, these crosses, our kids and some kids in the community donate or made those. Please pick one of those up and take it home with you. They're for you. So, and there's actually some extra ones up here on this table in the front. So please feel free to take one of those, and when you see it, you can remember to pray for us.